Jerome Hughes will not win the Dally M this year. Don't get me wrong, the Storm halfback has objectively been the best player in the NRL this season and definitely deserves to win it. But recent history very much tells us that he won't. Last year, pretty much everyone agreed that Shaun Johnson was the best player in the competition. The veteran halfback had absolutely killed it throughout the entire regular season, bringing his beloved Warriors to a remarkable top 4 finish. But the award was instead won by Kalyn Ponga, a player who, and this is true, told the NRL the morning of the ceremony that he didn't want to travel down from Newcastle because he didn't think he was any realistic chance of winning. That was our winner. The year before that, 2022, everyone was in love with Ben Hunt. Hunt was just about the only shining light the Dragons had that year, and he almost single-handedly dragged them to a decent finish. He was the massive favourite to win that award, and yet it was won by Nicho Hynes. Back in 2021, Tom Trbojevic won it, which was absolutely the correct call, but go 1 year before that in 2020 and it was Jack Whiten. That one just caught everybody off guard. For context, in the week leading up to the ceremony, NRL.com asked 15 experts who they think will win the Dally M. Only 2 of them mentioned Jack Whiten, and in contrast, 8 of them said that it was going to be Nathan Cleary. Now, I'm not criticising the players who won those Dally M medals, not at all. They all individually had very good seasons, and I wouldn't have anything negative to say about them if they hadn't been voted the best player of that year. Jack Whiten didn't vote himself the best player of 2020, nor did Nicho Hynes in 2022 or Kalyn Ponga in 2023. The system did. So what is it about this system that seems to consistently deliver us controversial results? Fundamentally, the problem is with our 3-2-1 voting system. For those of you unaware, the 3-2-1 system works like this. After each game, an independent judge, usually an ex-player or a member of the media, will decide who the best 3 players on the field were. The best player gets 3 points, the second best player gets 2 points, and the third best player gets 1 point. This year they changed that system slightly to have 2 independent judges giving out their 3-2-1s for each game. So theoretically, the maximum number of points that a player could get would be 6. You following? Good. I'm very proud of you. Then at the end of the season, whichever player accumulated the most number of points wins the Dally M Player of the Season medal. It's genius, right? Wrong. That system is fundamentally stupid. It has 2 major flaws. The first one, which is definitely the biggest one, is that system massively favours highly rated players in lower ranked clubs. It favours players who are in a roster where they are the individual superstar. Like Ponga was to the Knights, like Hynes was to the Sharks, and like Jack Whiten was to the Raiders. In that 2020 season when everyone thought Nathan Cleary should be Player of the Year, he likely didn't win the award because every week he was competing for points with the likes of Jerome Luai, Isaiah Yeo, Brian To'o and James Fisher-Harris. Obviously Whiten was going to be able to accumulate points much more easily than Cleary. That is the biggest thing that creates a massive advantage for certain players and a massive disadvantage for others. Now that alone would be a significant enough flaw for me to say that the Dally M system isn't effective. But I do have another major issue with the system, and for some reason, this is one that nobody talks about. To illustrate the second issue, let me paint you a picture. We've got 2 players, Player A and Player B. Player A plays his game and absolutely kills it. He gets 2 tries, 3 try assists, makes 300 running meters, and was by far and away the best player on the field in his game. He puts in one of the best performances of his career, and the media are hailing him as the second coming of Jesus Christ. Then Player B plays his game, and he plays fairly good in a game where no one particularly stands out. People are like, oh, well, okay, I guess he was probably the best player on the field, but that's not saying much because no one was particularly very good. Those 2 players would both be awarded the same number of points for their respective games, even though Player A played 2 or 3 times as good as Player B did. Player A is not rewarded fairly for the dominant performance that he put in. That's another major flaw. It's something that just seems to so unnecessarily lack common sense. But nothing about the Dally M seems to unnecessarily lack common sense more than its eligibility rules. I'll ask you a question. Who was the best rookie this season? The answer is obviously Lachlan Galvin. He has won the Players Rookie of the Season award, and to be honest, I doubt there's been many years in Dally M history where the answer for Rookie of the Year has been so obvious and clear-cut. And yet, Lucky Galvin cannot win the Dally M Rookie of the Year award because it's been suspended for 2 or more matches. The reason for that rule is because technically, by the letter of the law, the Dally M is the award for the best and fairest player. But to me, that's rubbish. I mean, no one thinks of the Dally M as best and fairest. We think of it as the Player of the Season award. And think about it this way, if a player sits out for 2 or more games and still accumulates enough points to win the damn thing, doesn't that just show that they deserve it even more? And it's especially harsh in the modern age where we, rightfully do have lengthy suspensions for any contact with the head. That contact is hardly ever malicious. It can be careless, but it's accidental. And for a player to potentially be robbed of a Rookie of the Season award, or even a Dally M award in itself, because of an instance like that just seems so harsh. It's just not reasonable at all. Things like incidental head contact happen all the time. It doesn't make the guy a dirty player. Now look, I expect that it will be Max Plath who wins the Dally M Rookie of the Year award, and cool, I have praised Max Plath many times. I'm a huge Max Plath fan. But ask yourself, was this the year of Max Plath, or was this the year of Lucky Galvin? I think the answer is pretty clear. So why do we do it like this then? Why don't we just get, at the end of the season, a wide array of experts, players to sit down and decide between them who the best player of the season was? The answer, as with almost all things in rugby league, is television. Most fans wouldn't know this, but while the Dally M is officially the NRL's Player of the Season award, it's not actually owned by the NRL. It's always been a News Corp run event, which is why Fox have exclusive coverage of it. So it's a 4TV event, and the suspense of being able to count up the votes round by round and generate suspense makes for really good TV viewing. You simply wouldn't achieve that level of suspense by just voting on a winner, even though that would probably be a vastly more accurate way of doing things. Phil Gould, who has been publicly outspoken about his dislike for the Dally M system, has said, "I think you've just got to take it for what it is. It's a promotion for the game. I think it's a media talking point. It's popular amongst fans. Like everything else, it's going to have its controversial moments." And while I don't disagree with what Gould is saying there, I do think that it's a massive shame that we have to take our competition's Night of Nights for what it is. But that being said, and I'm gonna do something here that I criticize the hell out of other people for doing, I don't have a realistic solution. I think the most accurate outcomes would definitely come out of getting people around a table at the end of the season and getting them to decide between them who the best player of the year was. Maybe we could even combine it with the RLPA Players Champion Award and get the players to vote on it instead. But none of the game's key stakeholders will change the system unless it can replicate the TV drama that the current one produces. Fundamentally, that's the reason why the Dally M exists, and that publicity is the reason why it gets so much attention. From a broadcaster's perspective, the Dally M is an extremely successful event, and if it ain't broke for them, why fix it? At the end of the day, it's up to you, the individual, to decide just how much importance you want to attribute to the Dally M. Because realistically, for all the flaws and inaccuracies that it has, I just can't see the system changing anytime soon. So what do you guys think of the Dally M's? Are you a fan of the current system, or do you have any changes in mind that you would implement to get more accurate results? Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.